What's up everyone, welcome back. Patrick here, moving on to the next question. So an item has an initial price of $600. It is then marked up by 40%. After some time, the item loses popularity and is discounted by 40% from the markup price. What's the difference between the final and initial price? So let's create a diagram of what's happening here. So we have the initial price of $600. And then what happens is that this price is marked up by 40%. So then we'll have a markup price. Let's call it a markup price. And then it stays at this price for a little while, loses popularity, and so then from there, it's discounted by 40%. To the final price. Right, so what they're asking for, what's the difference between the final price, this, and the initial price? And looking at this, you would think, okay, it's been marked up by 40%, and then it gets discounted by 40%, so is this a trick question? Wouldn't it just end up being $600 again, right? 40% then goes down by 40%, so it should be 600, so the difference would be 0. But that is not how it works. So a markup of 40%, let's do these separately. So basically the equation is before a markup, or the initial price, times 1 plus the markup in decimals. The markup percentage in decimals would give us the markup price, or the price, let's just call it the markup price. That's the general equation here. And so if we apply this with this, we would take 600 and multiply it by 1 plus 40% in decimals, which would be 0.4. So 600 times 1.4 would give us 840. So the markup price would be $840. Now some questions may ask what the actual markup is, and the actual markup is 240. It's just 40% of 600. 600 times 0.4 gives us 240, and then when we add these, we get that new price. So this over here gives you that new price right away. But if you just want the markup, it would just be the before markup price, or the initial price, times just the markup in decimals without this one. And that would give you the amount of markup. Right? So this is the flow of this first part here. Now what happens is that from here, we're going to discount this by 40% to get a final price here. And so for discounts, the before discount price, because we're discounting it, we would multiply it by 1 minus the discount in decimals. And that would give us the after discount price. In this case, I called it the final price. But to keep this a little more general, I'll write the after discount price. So what we would do is we would take the before discount price of $840, 1 minus the 40% discount, which would be 0.4. So this would end up being 0.6. 840 times 0.6 would give us $504. Another way to get this is you could have just took 840 and multiplied it by 0.4. That's what the discount would be. And that would give you 336. Okay, so if a question asks for the actual amount of discount, you would just take 0.4, the discount percentage, multiplied by the price before the discount. All right, so notice here the 40% was based on the 600, And the discount was based on this. The 40% was based on this. And that's why these are different, and that's why these end up being different and not the same. So you got to be careful. So what's the difference between these two? Well, notice that the final price is actually lower than the initial price, right? If a price is marked up by a certain percentage and then discounted by that same percentage, that final price is always going to be lower than the initial price. So what's the difference between these? Well, $600 minus $504 is just $96. So that ends up being the final answer to this question.